The model that vanished overnight. Anthropic Claude Fable 5 went from the top of every reasoning benchmark to a dead API link in 72 hours. On June 12, 2026, the U.S. Department of Commerce issued an export control directive that effectively pulled the plug on the first generally available Mythos-class model. While most labs frame safety as an internal alignment problem, the Fable 5 suspension proved that for frontier systems, the real kill switch is now a matter of federal export law. The model sat dark for 18 days, leaving developers who had already integrated the Mythos tier with broken production stacks and zero fallback documentation. This was not a technical outage. It was the first instance of a sovereign state exercising direct control over a waits-in-flight deployment based on a contested security claim, the Classifier fallback mechanism. Unlike previous iterations, Fable 5 does not just refuse a prompt. It uses a high-speed safety classifier to reroute suspicious traffic to the older Opus 4.8 model. Anthropic calls this the glass-wing architecture. In practice, the system analyzes the intent of a coding or biology request in the first few layers of processing. If the risk score exceeds a specific threshold, the user is transparently handed off to a less capable model. When Fable 5 returned on July 1st, these classifiers were tuned so aggressively that some teams report a 40% increase in false positives. The mechanic designed to prevent misuse has effectively created a performance ceiling for legitimate security researchers who now find their complex debugging tasks throttled by a filter that cannot distinguish between a defensive audit and an offensive exploit. The Amazon Jailbreak analysis. The catalyst for the June shutdown was a report from Amazon researchers who demonstrated a bypass of Fable 5's automated safeguards. The technique allowed the model to identify deep software vulnerabilities and, in one confirmed instance, generate functional exploit code. Anthropic has pushed back, arguing that the results were not unique to Fable 5 and that existing models like GPT 5.5 or even China's Kimi K 2.7 show similar capabilities on the same benchmarks. This suggests the suspension was less about a specific breakthrough in model danger and more about the government testing its new regulatory muscles on a Mythos-class system. By agreeing to proactive detection protocols and the new severity framework, Anthropic has traded absolute model autonomy for the right to remain in the commercial market. The end of stable API trust. The Fable 5 incident marks the transition from the utility era of AI to the jurisdictional era. For developers, the technical takeaway is that the single model dependency is officially a legacy strategy. The suspension of the Mythos class models showed that a model can be functionally perfect and yet remain legally inaccessible for weeks with zero notice. Builders now have to architect for multi-model redundancy, not just for uptime, but for legal resilience. Moving forward, the most critical metric for a production agent won't be its raw score on the MMLU, but its ability to gracefully degrade across different lab providers when one gets hit with a localized export ban. The signal under the noise is clear. Frontier intelligence is now a controlled substance, and the regulatory environment will dictate the available context window more than the hardware ever will. Watch the upcoming GPT 5.6 release for a similar pre-approval protocol from the Commerce Department. Subscribe for more.